The bond of sisterhood shapes us, grounds us, and if we're lucky, remains with us through life. In the new book, Sisters Loved and Treasured, Stories of Unbreakable Bonds, ABC News' own Deborah Roberts brings together more than 50 voices from Viola Davis to Octavia Spencer, who through essays and conversation share stories about the gift of having a sister by your side. And joining us now is ABC News 2020 co-anchor, my friend and New York Times bestselling author, Deborah Roberts, and my very own sister, Whitney, my older sister by 6 years, mom of two, school social worker. As you know, I can ask some hard questions. I'm going to grill you. No, I'm not actually. I'm gonna let Deborah Roberts grill us together.
Because I didn't get a chance to interview you for the book.
That's right. And so we'll get into that in a moment. But first, let me ask you a few questions. Yes. Obviously, I know that you grew up with 6 sisters, often sharing one bathroom. I cannot imagine what that house in Georgia was like.
We grew up, yes.
But give us a sense of why you were intrigued enough by the concept of sisterhood that you wanted to write a book about it.
You know, they always say write what you know, and you and I have talked about that because you've written books. And I wrote a book about teachers and the importance of teachers and so forth. And when I was thinking about another topic, of course, I grew up with sisters. I just sort of take it for granted. 6 sisters, a lot of estrogen in the house. I never thought that much about it. But as we have grown older, some of us have drifted. I have lost 2 sisters. I've lost a couple of brothers as well. And I think now we focus on each other in ways that are a little bit different. And I was a little bit, I think, wistful about the fact that we have sort of drifted. And what is that? And does that mean I'm not close with my sisters? And does that mean maybe I'm not a good sister? And then I read a study, a couple of studies actually have come out that said having a sister is actually good for your emotional well-being. It boosts your mental health and positivity and all of that. And I just was intrigued. I wanted to learn a little bit more about sisters. Am I unique in the fact that we all have different bonds? And what is that all about? So I set about asking people about their sisters. And it just became this wonderful, wonderful revelation.
And I felt that emotional bond. I don't even know if you know, we haven't even talked about it since, but in the summer before I was doing my first ever presidential debate on the Democratic presidential debate, and I was really uptight, and we were together during that summer, and right before she left, she ended up in tears, and she was like, "Do the damn thing," and something moved me just to feel that support
I was so proud.
that really meant so much. And so I know exactly what you're talking about. Obviously, you interviewed dozens of women, including Robin Roberts, Shonda Rhimes, Michael Strahan's daughters,
and women that you've never even heard of, and young girls that you've never heard of. 2 girls over in New Jersey who work on a project together, sewing hospital gowns. And looking at you two, it is so great seeing you because the bond is so clearly there. But Whitney and I were talking earlier, you know, you have a 6-year age gap, you're older, you know, you're very different. And that was what I thought was so interesting. I talked to a lot of sisters, pairs of sisters, or maybe 2 or 3 sisters who were very close, some of them, and some of them not necessarily so close. We don't see eye to eye. We're very different. We're politically a little different. Yet there was something there. So when Whitney said, do the thing, that sister is in your corner, even if you two cannot see eye to eye on other things in life.
Absolutely.
We're going to open it up to little rapid fire, or ask away, whatever you want to do.
I want to start off asking you two what I ask everybody else. And I loved that women would just sort of let their guard down and they would just start talking about things they never really talked about. And I'm wondering from both of you, what your earliest memory was of having a sister and kind of realizing that there was something a little different in your life about a sister.
You want to start?
Yeah.
Well, that 6-year age difference was powerful. I'm used to having mom and dad all to myself. And for Linsey to come bopping along, it completely changed, obviously, the dynamic within the household. So much so that I became a little bit mischievous and resentful and attention-seeking.
I've heard it.
But at the same time, you know, it was nice to be able to have a sibling, to be able to help mom diaper and help mom feed, and, you know, just to connect with. Because for the longest time, I had been literally begging my parents to have another child. And as much as I liked and enjoyed having them to myself. I was lonely at
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
I actually invented Peggy. She was my pretend friend, who now is my alter ego. But yeah, I delighted in that fact afterwards. But it definitely took some adjusting to get to.
And I've heard that story many, many times. I mean, the age difference really makes a difference. What about you, Linsey? What were your memories?
Well, one, I never even knew that you had been begging mom and dad for a sibling.
See, that's what's been so beautiful about this, revelations that you never knew.
But I think kind of like the little anecdote that I shared earlier, there have been so many times, tough times, just to know that there is that person. We've dealt with some things together where it was, we know each other as much as we are not always together. We're not constantly on the phone or texting or whatever, but I know she's always there in my corner. And I think that you feel the same about me.
I love that. And that was the common theme, I think. I mean, obviously, there are lots of sisters who don't get along. They've had estrangements. Things have happened. But for the most part, even those who I talked to in the book who may not necessarily get along all that well, they felt that there's always something there. You're always somehow in my corner, and I can sort of always trust you. Qualities that you admire in each other? Whitney? I love this.
Linsey's unwavering desire to conquer the world. Whether she's delivering the news, writing a children's book, planning and hosting a holiday party for the underprivileged, traveling in the globe and running it at the same time. Linsey's actions are deliberate and purposeful.
I love that.
Yeah, there's nothing that she won't do. A few years back, I took a trip out to Red Rock Canyon in Nevada, and I was amazed by these mountain climbers, and how they were traversing the mountainside. And these mountains are upwards of like 7,000 feet high. And I sat there, and after a moment, I whipped out my phone, took a picture, and I don't know if you remember this.
I do.
You do?
You sent it to me and Dad.
And I texted Linsey, "This is you."
Oh, wow.
The photo so encapsulated her spirit. And I think I said something like, "Never stop scaling mountains."
Beautiful.
And I say all that to say that Linsey's approach towards life, much like those mountain climbers, is fearless and just relentless.
I love that.
There's no, I can't, that's impossible,
I know.
I quit. Mediocrity is not an option.
Oh my goodness.
You see,
Wow, yes.
And what I love about this is normally you wouldn't sit around and talk like this about each other.
Yeah.
And that's why people got so emotional.
She thinks boldly, she acts decisively, and makes things happen.
That's really so nice of you to
You have a
say.
big act to follow now.
Oh my
You have a big
gosh.
act to follow. Now, what qualities?
Well, as they say, what's the term that the kids use these days? When Linsey eats and leaves no crumbs.
Oh my gosh, I love it, Linsey.
And she does so quietly.
Oh,
Yes,
funny.
she does.
So while she's seen nationally, it's really a paradox to me. While she's seen nationally, she doesn't need to or have to be seen, if that makes sense.
Oh my
You
goodness.
see what? No, she needs to
I've
Kleenex.
never heard this.
Okay,
And it's
I
just
bring
so
people
rare to
together.
find that.
I bring people together. What qualities do you
Well,
admire?
my sister and I are really, I think we would agree, we're complete opposites.
She said that.
Absolutely.
And yet I admire all of the ways she's opposite that I am. I'm a planner. I really kind of stay in the box.
can
And
see.
she's free and spontaneous and just has fun. And why not? To life,
Yeah.
Why not? Right. You and I have talked about that. And a lot of times when I'm like, oh, I better go to bed, I'm going to be tired in the morning, she's up like, oh, you're in bed, you're going to bed. How often are we together? Stay up.
Yeah, I hate endings.
And that joy of life, just embracing that kind of reckless abandon, things always have a way of working out.
Spontaneity.
But yeah, I really do admire that. I could benefit by having more of her qualities in my life.
But at the same time, you can be so opposite, but yet you still
Yes.
feel connected, and there is something there that
Yes.
you admire and love, and there's a bond there. Let me ask you guys a couple of rapid fire questions, if I may, because I always love rapid fire. Who's got the best sense of humor?
I think we're both. I think we
In different ways
Yes. Wow, that's
Both of you are funny in your own way?
So wait, let me tell you a funny little story. There was security with me for a little bit, and I was talking about this bodyguard, and I was like, he's so fun to be around, and he's so nice. And my sister just belts out Whitney Houston's, and I will always love you from The Bodyguard, you know. And I still sometimes will just think about that moment and just crack up.
So you both have a both have a good sense
I
of
think
humor.
it's kind of even, yeah.
Who's more punctual?
I am.
I had a feeling.
No question.
Who's typically late?
That would be me.
That would be you.
Yes.
Who's cool under pressure?
Linsey.
I think I am. Yeah.
More emotional?
Definitely me, hands down.
I want to bring it back to you just for at least one or two more. While you were doing your own conversations with your sister, a story came up about your sister Annette.
Well, there were a couple of stories that came up, which I thought was so interesting, because oftentimes in families there are things that feel a little uncomfortable you don't want to discuss. One of them was that we had a sister who now we know was dealing with mental illness and probably medicated through alcoholism. And I think we all had levels of either guilt or some kind of discomfort over that. So we discussed that. And then I had another sister who I learned later in life didn't have the same father. And I didn't know that. And my mother always made it very clear, you're all sisters. There are no half sisters in this family. You're all sisters. And we eventually learned the story that my mom had this relationship and she thought they were getting married. And it turns out they didn't get married. And she married my father, who was the father of the rest of us. But my sister Annette had a different father, and we didn't know that for the very longest time. So I think for us to all talk about our reactions to these things and moments in life, just open the door for us to sort of share a little bit of closeness and maybe reconnect some of those bonds that might have been fraying over the years.
And lastly, I just want to read a quote that you wrote in the book. To have a sister by your side is to experience life to its fullest with all its laughter and trials. Who else can say they were there during the most trying of times, offering both solace and strength? Talk about what that means to you.
To me, when I think back, I mean, at the end of the day, we can all have BFFs, you know, people who have been in our lives. I have good friends I've known since college. But my sisters were there in the bathroom laughing with us when we were, you know, growing up, or if we had some struggles in life, we were there. Or if somebody had a big disappointment or a great victory, they were the ones. Or if somebody broke their arm and you were the one who pushed her and that's why she broke her arm. Those were the people who were there with you when the foundation was being built. And there is something special in that. And I think if nothing else, I hope people will read this book, and women who maybe don't have the best relationships or might just feel like they do, but they wonder. They might feel a little bit more, they might feel closer, and they might treasure their relationship with their sister just a little bit more.
I just have to say, this has been so special. Thank you, Deborah.
Of course.
For just, I don't know, just
Sisters
generating the
loved and
conversation.
treasured. And I think we all have discoveries that we didn't even know that we could possibly discover about each other.
Whitney, Deborah, thank you so much. Sisters loved and treasured stories of unbreakable bonds by ABC News 2020 co-anchor and New York Times bestselling author Deborah Roberts, now available wherever you buy your books. Scan that QR code for more, and you can see more of Deborah on 2020 Friday nights and hear more on the 2020 podcast that she hosts called The After Show. It's available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch those episodes on Hulu and Disney+.